Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we're going to look at appearance for the integer and decimal question types. So I'm going to pick an integer. So we have an integer here, but I'm going to duplicate this here. So I'm feeling kind of lazy. So I'm going to duplicate this question here. So we can work with the appearances that are supported by ODK. Yes. So one of the appearances that integer works with is 1000 separator. So you might write numbers that get long, right? So you would want them to be separated by thousands, where after every 3 digits there would be a comma. Or it can work with the locale depending on the location that is set. For example, the 1000 separator for the Hindi numerics is a bit different than what we're used to. So I'm going to do that here. So under appearance for this integer, I'm going to write the 1000 separator. Now in the previous video, I've explained how the EX, the external app where you're able to launch an external app, works with text. It's the same with integer. So the EX works with both text and integer. So you can look at the previous video to look at it. We haven't looked at how to use external app, but hopefully in future videos we're going to do that. The next appearance that you're able to work with is counter. So this current version doesn't have the counter, but if you're working with the newer version of the template, you should have that. So these are the two appearances we have. So the counter, instead of giving you the option to type a number, it gives you a plus and a minus key. We're able to tap, and then it shows you it increases the number or decreases. And so these two appearances also work with decimal. So I am going to duplicate this two again, but before I do that, let's save and see how they work on our ODK. Let's see how they work on ODK Collect. So I'm updating my form here. I've uploaded, and I'm going to refresh my form. Yes. So if I were to open this form here, you can see how many pupils. So I'm going to write 1500, and you can see it keeps adding the comma, so that way it's readable to the user. It's not going to come with the comma when the data is collected. It's only going to come as an integer, but this, as we mentioned, one of the reasons appearance work with it improves data collection. So this way your user wouldn't mistake 1.5 million with 150,000. So looking at this, you wouldn't mistake this and this, but without the comma, you can see how that could be a bit tricky. The next one is the counter. Here you can see the counter here. It shows you the plus and minus. So instead of typing the number here, it just gives you the counter, and you could click on the plus to add or the minus to take out from the number. So these are the two appearances that work with integer. Of course, as I mentioned, it also works with the external app here. It also works with the external app, but we're not going to look at that here. So I'm going to change this to decimal to see how they work. So the same appearances work for integer and decimal. So I'm going to do this here and save, then upload my form again. I'm going to upload my form again. To see how they work here. So I'm going to start a new form. No, I didn't refresh my form, so let's do that to get the new version. Yeah, so we have the latest version, and you can see it appears the same way. So 00 point, you get the idea. Because it's decimal, it allows me to have a decimal place, but it still maintains the 1000 separator that we saw earlier. And if you go to the next item, but counter, of course, wouldn't work with decimal, because the counter only does with an increment of increases by 1 step by default. So it can't work with it doesn't work with decimal, but decimal works with thousands. 1000 separator works with both decimal and integer, and then counter works with integer. And then you have the external app, which also works with both integer and decimal. So these are the appearances that work with integer and decimal. You can work on them. You can explore them based on your use case and see how they appear and how they work. So it can enhance your data collection. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.